6 Sinister Autopsies. Spine-chilling secrets revealed by forensic doctors in haunted morgues. Dr. Emily Carter's breath quickened as the frigid air of the morgue wrapped around her like a vice. Shadows danced ominously in the dimly lit room, stretching across cold steel tables, while the distant clanking of metal echoed, heightening her anxiety. She took a moment, staring at the bodies before her. 6 lifeless forms whose deaths unraveled a sinister thread that tied them to a man everyone adored. Theirs was a story drenched in graveyards of fear. Each incision she made felt more like a slice into the tender fabric of safety that blanketed her suburban Michigan town. They were all family members, friends, missing faces in a community that should have felt secure. As Emily's scalpel entered the flesh of the first victim, she shivered, recalling the chilling legends whispered among the townsfolk, tales of the Keeper, a harbinger of doom clothed in virtue, and those who knocked at his door seeking help never returned. She gritted her teeth and delved deeper, meticulously examining the skin. That S when she found it a cryptic marking, an etching that churned the stomach. Panic coursed through her, and the thought of what it implied clawed at her sanity. No, this can't be connected, she thought, yet the horror seeped in like a poison. Behind her, the air grew thick, the shadows filled with rumors of her town's darkest fears. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Each victim bore the same symbols, tiny inscriptions that mocked her, reminding Emily of the stories surrounding the Keeper. The hairs on her arms stood alert, a warning of an unseen menace lurking just beyond the edges of the town she thought she knew. The more she uncovered, the more her heart raced. The steady beat of the morgue clock ticked louder, drowning out her thundering pulse with the ominous cadence of dread. Sucking in a breath, she prepared for the next body, but a sense of being watched washed over her, leaving a bitter chill that seeped into her bones. Was it just fatigue, or the reality that crept closer with every unsettling detail she unearthed? Shadows loomed by her side, curling like sinister fingers reaching for her sanity. Just as despair threatened to consume her, a voice rang through her phone late that night, chilling her blood. "Look to the one who smiles," it whispered. Emily's heart dropped, and she knew then it was a warning directed at her. A realization that the man they trusted was the very predator they feared. Was she now trapped in the web he spun? The Keeper wasn't just folklore anymore. He was flesh, blood, and existence. And with each passing second, she could feel his cold breath against her neck, tightening like a noose ready to drag her into shadows just like the others. How could she untangle herself from this nightmare before it was too late? Eyes wide with terror, Emily braced herself for what came next. Would she uncover the truth and escape, or would she become another ghost haunting the halls of the morgue? The darkness of the morgue thickened, wrapping around Emily like a suffocating blanket. Each shadow flickered with malice, twisting into grotesque shapes that seemed to pulse with anticipation. She took a shaky step back, her eyes darting between the bodies on the tables, desperate for clarity in the chaos swirling in her mind. "Look to the one who smiles." The phrase echoed endlessly, taunting her with its ominous implications. The creeping dread was palpable, clawing at her resolve. Who could smile in a place like this? The innocent faces of the once living suddenly morphed in her memory, transforming into the twisted grins of the Keeper. Those cryptic stories now had weight and texture, binding her in ways she never imagined. Determined to regain control, she studied the next body after addressing the first victim's symbols. A chill skittered across her skin like a creeping frostbite, demanding acknowledgement. Pushing her fear aside, Emily noted the etchings on the second victim. It felt like a scourge, a weight of meaning that shoved her deeper into the abyss. With each cut, the enormity of the symbols whispered the secrets of a nightmarish puzzle only her scalpel could unravel. Unsettled visions of each face loomed in her periphery, compelling her to connect dots that had been scattered across the barriers of her mind. Suddenly, a draft swirled through the air, chilling her to the bone. She glanced up, scanning the muted corners of the room. The fluorescent lights above flickered ominously, casting an erratic glow over every surface. Emily could have sworn she caught a glimpse of something or someone darting behind the steel cabinets. A breath caught in her throat. Were her eyes playing tricks on her? Lock it down, she told herself. Don't lose focus. The Keeper was more than a story. He was an architect of despair designed to ensnare. But how could a town suffocated by his charm turn such a blind eye? As she examined the third body, she recoiled when the familiar etching appeared yet again. Panic surged. It had to mean something deeper, something sinister woven into the very fabric of their existence. But what could possibly connect them? Each victim brought her closer to a reckoning. Yet she felt an oppressive presence looming, a weight that pressed upon her chest, making it hard to breathe. Then her phone buzzed violently on the counter, jolting her from the dark abyss of her thoughts. As she glanced down, the notification screen glared back. A missed call. An unrecognized number. Heart racing. She cursed willful uncertainty and swiped to listen to the voicemail. The mechanical voice crackled, distorting the message into a chilling, gut-wrenching silence, punctuated only by his unmistakable laugh, the laugh that haunted her nightmares. You must keep looking, Emily. I'm closer than you think. With a lurch, she felt the world around her tilt, her vision narrowing. Emily stumbled back, her instincts screaming for an escape she couldn't find. The walls bore witness to her mounting despair as shadows flickered violently, merging into a living entity that threatened to pull her whole beyond the threshold of sanity. The Keeper was not just a threat in the stories, but a tangible truth, a malignant force threading through her reality, closing in on her like a predator stalking its prey. Time pinned her down, the air thick and suffocating, while her heart pounded out an anxious rhythm. Could she survive him? As she gasped for breath, she realized she needed answers, and she needed them fast. Grabbing the edge of the table, she steadied herself. She would dig until she unearthed the key to this mess, or die trying. But as she turned, a figure emerged from the gloom, wearing a disquieting smile that shattered her resolve. Emily, the voice wrapped around her like a death knell. The one who smiled had finally come for her. What was she going to do now? Emily's heart raced, each beat echoing like a drum in the suffocating silence. The figure before her stepped closer, the smile stretching unnaturally across his waxy features, revealing teeth that glinted too brightly under the flickering lights. It was a face she had never seen, yet it felt eerily familiar, as if it had been conjured from the darkest corners of her nightmares. Your search has led you to me, he whispered, his voice a smooth, chilling melody that wrapped around her. Don't you want to know what lies beneath the surface? With every step he took, the atmosphere thickened, igniting a primal urge to flee. But the steel tables cloaked in grim details anchored her in place. The horrific symbols danced in her mind, a cacophony she could no longer ignore. She clenched her fists, channeling every ounce of courage she had left. This wasn't just a game to him. It was a twisted play, and she was ensnared in the center of it. Who are you? She managed, her voice trembling. What do you want from me? Oh, you already know, he cooed mockingly, taking another step. You've always known. You can't escape the truth of this place, or the truth of your own mind. The shadows around him thickened, plucking at her sanity. Emily's thoughts spiraled, grappling with the weight of her own memories, the grotesque etchings, the twisted grins, the chilling laughter. All of it coalesced into a singular truth, a truth that danced just out of reach but roared loudly in her gut. You're connected to them, aren't you? She whispered, a realization dawning like a ghastly sunrise. You're one of them. You're the keeper of their secrets. His smile didn't waver. Very good, Emily. But don't flatter yourself. You're not ready for the darkness. Panic seized her chest as she took an involuntary step back. She searched for an escape, but the Morgues' cold surfaces seemed to lean in closer, eager to absorb her fear. The bodies on the tables, those once dead vessels, felt like they were awakening, eyes urging her to look into their stories. "Do you want to see?" he asked, tilting his head. "I can show you every last one of their horrors." His outstretched hand beckoned, fingers elongated like claws. Every instinct screamed for her to deny. "No," she cried, grounding her feet against the floor. "I need to know. But not like this." He laughed, a sound that slithered around her brain, invading her thoughts. "Knowledge comes with a price, Emily." Her mind raced. The connections she had made with the etchings, the whispers of the dead. Was this her chance to uncover why these souls had been cast into darkness? What if revealing their secrets meant facing her own deepest fears? "If I look," she said slowly, "I might find a way to stop this, to end it." Such ambition. But ambition can be a deadly trap, he remarked, a glimmer of something dark flitting across his eyes. "Show me," she challenged, determination swelling as she took a step toward him. "I'm done being afraid." The grin on his face widened, an unsettling sight. "Very well. Follow me. But know this. Once you see, the shadows won't let you walk away unscathed." As he turned, Emily took a breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. Each footfall reverberated in the stillness, anticipation mingling with dread. The bodies seemed to whisper now, pleading as if they, too, were trapped in a loop of despair, yearning for release. Ahead was a door, cracked open, revealing a darkness that pulsed like a heartbeat. Emily steeled herself, mind racing with possibilities. Could she truly find the answers beneath the smiles? The keeper glanced back, eyes glinting like daggers. "Are you ready to face what's waiting for you?" With a nod that felt like a pact, Emily braced herself for the unknown that lay ahead. Perhaps the darkness held the key to her survival. But would it come at a price she was willing to pay? As they stepped through the doorway, the air chilled, thick with secrets begging to be unraveled. Each step felt like a countdown. What lurked on the other side, a sight of salvation or further damnation? Only time would tell, and the tension ignited her uncertainty. Would she unravel the truth before it consumed her? Or would she become just another stone in the keeper's collection? The darkness swallowed them whole, a vast cavern from which even the flicker of light seemed to recoil. Emily's breath caught in her throat, her heartbeat pounding at her ears as they ventured deeper into the abyss. The keeper walked ahead, a shadow among shadows. Suddenly, an oppressive weight pressed against her chest. The air was thick, suffocating, laced with something vastly more disturbing than the cold sterility of the morgue. She felt it crawl beneath her skin, whispering cold truths into her ear. A low hum resonated from somewhere far off, a dirge, an invitation, or perhaps a warning. "What is this place?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "A gallery," he answered with a chilling smugness. "A collection of truths you're too scared to face. Every body within these walls holds a story, a wayward soul crying out for closure." Each step echoed ominously. She could almost see silhouettes shifting in the dark. Emily shook her head, shaking loose the fear that threatened to paralyze her. "Are you going to show me their stories?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "Only if you're ready to embrace the truth." The keeper paused, turning sharply to face her. "Even if it shatters you." A flicker in the shadows drew her gaze. A figure emerged, flickering in and out of focus, like a glitch in reality. It wore a tattered gown, and streaks of dried blood stained the fabric. Its eyes bored into Emily's, drowning her in a sea of sorrow. "Help me," the specter sobbed. "Release me." Emily recoiled, stumbling back, colliding against a cold surface. The chill cut through her, and she felt the darkness wrap tighter around her. What is happening?" she gasped, her heart racing. This wasn't part of her plan. "It's just a glimpse," the keeper urged, his voice softening, almost sweet. "A mere fragment of one tragic truth." Trapped between terror and curiosity, Emily took a breath. "I want to see," she asserted, her voice ringing louder against her fear. "Good choice." He stepped closer, nearly merging with the phantasmal figure. "Every truth comes with a price, and some are far heavier than others." The outstretched hand of the spirit reached for her, fingers trembling with a desperate need. You must free them, cried. Or they will take you with them. I don't know how. Emily stammered, panic twisting her insides. Dig into their past, the keeper instructed, drawing back, a smile creeping across his face that sent a chill down her spine. You need to find the reasons behind their entrapment, the pain they carried. Only then can you hope to release them. Why me? She shot back defiantly. Anxiety spiraled within her, but determination ignited a spark. Why not you? Because, my dear Emily, it's you who summoned them. You're drawn to the darkness more than you know. Now you must confront it. Before she could protest, the figure surged forward, its ghostly wail echoing like a siren through the void. Images flashed through Emily's mind. A child's laughter, a sickly sweet perfume, a knife glistening in the moonlight. Each glimpse seared her with unearthly dread. The keeper watched, a predator reveling in her unraveling. Feel that? The connection? It's the story of them all, twisting into the story of you. With each vision, Emily felt herself slipping into the shadows. Echoes of anguish flooded her thoughts, the secrets of the dead clawing at her, demanding to be unearthed. No, she screamed. I can't. I don't want to know. The keeper laughed, and darkness flooded her vision. You've already begun. Embrace their pain, and the freedom will be yours. Emily trembled, clutching her head as memories that weren't her own exploded in her consciousness. She could barely distinguish her own screams mingling with theirs. How would she carry the weight of their horror? Will she be able to withstand the truth of their nightmares, or will she fall into their shadows, doomed to share their fate forever? The darkness thickened around Emily, a living entity that wrapped around her, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She felt the shards of pain and sorrow mingling with her own frantic heartbeat, the cacophony almost deafening. Faces twisted in anguish swirled in her vision. The ethereal wails were no longer distant. They encircled her, their desperation clawing at her mind. No, I can't, she gasped, feeling dizzy. But it was too late. The connection had formed. The shadows were hungry, calling her deeper into their abyss. The keeper's laughter echoed, drowning out the cries. Oh, but you can. You must. Don't you see? Their souls are tangled with yours now. It's time to unearth the weight of their stories. And just like that, the figures began to coalesce, their spectral forms becoming clearer. Each of them trapped, pleading. Emily's heart raced as she caught glimpses of their fate's lost children, broken lovers, betrayed souls. Each had an agony to reveal, and she felt it seeping into her bones. Why do you need me? She shouted into the void, desperation tinging her tone. What makes me different? Because you're afraid, the keeper replied, his breath a cold fog against her skin. And fear breeds power. Your hunger to uncover secrets drives this gallery. But know this, Emily. The truth is often worse than the fear itself. A fateful whisper tickled her ear, swirling thoughts that almost birthed images of their past. Help us, a chorus of voices pleaded to her, each more haunting than the last. You're the only one who can. But the thought of unraveling their darkness paralyzed her further. What if their truths were imbued with her own failures? The shadows grew bolder, seeping into her mind, and she staggered backwards, gasping at the cold, hard truth of it all. I want to, she screamed. I want to be part of this. The wind howled, and Emily felt the rush of air swirl with an agonized scream. The very walls seemed to shake, trembling at her defiance. The keeper stepped closer, his smile razor-sharp. You think you can escape? The more you resist, the tighter the darkness surrounds you. There is nowhere to run. Panic turned to anger as a figure surged towards her. It wore the tattered semblance of a wedding dress. Her eyes were hollow, the tears eternal. He betrayed me, she sobbed, her voice resonating with a sorrow so profound Emily wanted to break down. I can't leave this place. He needs to know. What do you want from me? Emily yelled, shaking with the weight of their desperation. Tell him. Set us free. The spirit lunged forward, and Emily felt the chill touch her skin, slipping through her like ice water. What am I supposed to tell him? She cried out, feeling the world spin. Who are you? I was loved, the ghost whispered, and I was hurt. You felt that. You must share our pain to mend the past. More voices chanted through the darkness. Confront us. Find our truths. As she staggered back, a surge of memories flooded her thoughts. Scenes from lives not her own flashed before her, each story merging into hers. Each sadness bled through her heart. She couldn't disentangle from them, and with each shared experience, she felt the haunting shadows pulling her deeper, burdening her soul. The keeper watched with hungry eyes. You're becoming one of them, Emily. Your own past will merge with theirs. In that moment, the spectral figure of the bride shimmered, her gaze piercing Emily's defenses. Save us, or you will join us in this hell. A sudden image flashed a darkened room, a bloodied blade reflecting moonlight. Emily's breath quickened. She felt the truth clamoring at her mind, pulling her deeper into the chaos. Was she strong enough to carry the burdens of others, or was she destined to become yet another lost soul among them? With that heavy question looming, the shadows thickened, and she could feel their desperation tightening around her. Would she unearth the buried past or become just another echo of their torment? Emily's heart pounded like a war drum. She felt the very air press against her chest, pushing her back into the suffocating darkness. Panic surged through her veins, but it was drowned out by an insistent whisper. You can save them. With that primal urge clawing at her, she glared at the keeper, his figure looming, twisted like the souls around her. Let them go, she cried, though deep down, she knew the futility of her demand. Ah, but don't you see? He taunted, his eyes glinting with sadistic joy. Their freedom lies within your grasp. Tell their stories, Emily. Let the truth spill from your lips like blood. The shadows writhed, and the mournful faces shifted again, each one more familiar yet foreign. A child with torn clothes, a man with hollow cheeks, a woman with an unyielding gaze. Their features echoed in the corners of her mind as if she had met them before, yet their pain was new, raw, and overwhelming. She staggered, clutching her head, trying to push their sorrow away. No, she screamed, and the darkness roared back, shaking the very ground beneath her. Not even for a moment can you ignore them, the keeper whispered, his voice like poison, dripping with anticipation. Their suffering is a part of you now. Desperation clawed at her insides. Emily squeezed her eyes shut, wishing the chaos would vanish, but the cries only grew louder. Help us, they wailed, a cry so haunting that it carved into her bones. A flicker of resolve ignited within her. What do you need me to do? She demanded, her voice breaking slightly but strong enough to cut through the layers of anguish. The spectral figure of the bride stepped closer, her fragile form shimmering. You must confront our truths before it's too late. Emily felt her knees weaken, the weight of their tales beginning to crush her spirit. What if I don't want to know? She whispered, facing her worst fear, the truth hidden beneath layers of darkness. Then you will be lost. The keeper's smile faded, replaced by a grim line. The shadows darted closer, their hunger palpable. You must choose, Emily. Slowly, the memories slid into her consciousness, their pain filtering into the cracks of her heart. A mother grieving her child, alone in a darkened hallway, her voice echoing endlessly through a house of memories. A lover's betrayal, sharp like ice on a winter's night. Each story urged her to listen, to understand. That as she stumbled forward, a surge of strength ignited. I'll listen, she yelled, her voice breaking through the haze of despair like a beacon. I'll hear you. The temperature plummeted, and the shadows paused, their cries shifting to something almost resembling relief. Emily inhaled deeply, feeling the icy grip around her chest loosen just a fraction. Speak, the keeper hissed, his eyes narrowing. But know this. The truth is a mirror, and what you uncover may shatter you. As the darkness twisted and swirled, she felt a pulse, a rhythmic beat beneath her feet. The ancient secrets of lost souls began to unfurl before her, like petals from a rotting flower. No, a voice screamed, shrill and pained, writhing in the depths of her mind. You cannot. She clutched her head, clenching her jaw. What do I need to know? She begged, her voice trembling with fear and determination. Around her, shadows erupted in a cacophony of wails, their anguish merging into a single, deafening roar. Find the truth before you, yourself become lost. Emily's body trembled, and she could feel her identity beginning to slip. Would her soul merge with theirs? Would she be swallowed by the very darkness she sought to conquer? As the whispers grew to a fever pitch, a vision sliced through the chaos, a bloodied blade gleaming in the darkness, a flicker of light. Maybe, just maybe, the end of this torment was within reach. But could she hold on to her own sanity long enough to untangle their truths from her own deteriorating reality? With that question hanging in the air, the shadows seemed to close in tighter, pulsing with anxious anticipation, as if daring her to take the first step toward the secrets waiting to be unveiled. The moment Emily summoned the resolve to listen, the darkness around her shuddered, as if holding its breath. Shadows collided, forming into jagged shapes that danced like twisted reflections in a funhouse mirror. The Keeper's face morphed, becoming a distorted caricature of anguish and delight, his gnarled fingers beckoning her deeper into the abyss. Open your mouth, let the truth flow, he urged, each syllable sticky with malice. Emily clenched her fists at her sides. The screams, sobs, and whispers surged, entwining with her heartbeat, making her feel like a marionette attached to invisible strings. She looked down. A pulsating path of blood-red light flickered at her feet, twisting like a serpent, pushing her to move forward. The echoes of past lives thrummed painfully in her ears. I will, she breathed, though her voice felt swallowed by the cavernous darkness. Suddenly, a new memory pushed through the haze, jagged and sharp. A man, bound in chains, eyes wild and desperate. A scream escaped his lips, a desperate plea that made Emily's heart stop. Help me, he gasped. They don't care about the truth. They'll let me die here. Please. A kaleidoscope of emotions flooded her. This man was not just a lost soul. He was someone who had once been alive, breathing, hoping. The weight of his fear hung in the air, palpable and suffocating. She staggered, instinctively wanting to save him, to reach through time and circumstances. Speak, Emily. The Keeper's voice twisted like barbed wire, compelling yet horrifying. You must pull their stories from the depths. Fear not the pain. Instead, embrace it. The man's voice echoed again, intensified by the darkness around her. You must expose the truth. Do it for us. Do it before it's too late. Shadows writhed violently, as if in agreement or outrage. Emily steadied herself. I will tell your story, she vowed, feeling a surge of energy course through her. I promise. The shadows paused again, their chaotic murmurs ebbing ever so slightly. But as she opened her mouth to speak, new, terrifying images flooded her mind. A car crash, flames licking at broken glass. A child inside screaming for salvation as the fire crept closer. No, no, please. The child's voice tore through her, innocent and terrified. Don't let me die alone. Emily gasped, her resolve crumbling under the visceral horror. What happened? She cried, almost pleading with the shadows to give her answers. But the visions only grew more horrific. She closed her eyes tightly, trying to block it out, but the memories of anguish squeezed at her soul like a vice. Faces melted away as new ones emerged, a woman drenched in her own tears, a husband cradling his dead wife. You can help us, Emily. You can set us free, they breathed, their voices blending into a cacophony. Emily's heart raced, fear gripping her. If I speak, it could destroy me. Panic gripped her throat. I could lose myself in this darkness. The Keeper laughed, a sound like bones cracking. You're already enmeshed, my dear. The truth is never a single thread. It's a tangled web, and you will find yourself trapped in it. The question is, how far are you willing to go? As dread clawed at her insides, a low humming reverberated from the depths. The shadows aligned, forming a singular space, a morbid stage, where the memories clamored for their chance to be heard. Choose your story wisely, the Keeper hissed, his breath cold against her neck. Emily's pulse thundered in her ears, the weight of her decision pressing down on her. Should she lift the veil on one more truth, risking everything? Would it lead her closer to saving the lost souls or tear apart her sanity? The flames of urgency flickered dangerously in her mind. But before she could vocalize her choice, a blinding light burst through the shadows, shimmering and powerful, and momentarily, all voices fell silent, leaving an eerie stillness hanging in the air. What lay beyond that blinding light, and would it lead her to the salvation they all craved, or consume her entirely? In that breathless moment, Emily stood at the precipice of an unimaginable decision, teetering between salvation and destruction, caught in the suffocating grasp of uncertainty. The blinding light enveloped Emily, stretching across the shadows, wrapping her in a cocoon of brilliance so intense that she squinted, shielding her eyes with trembling hands. In the brilliance, heartbeat reverberated against silence like thunder in a quiet room. The air crackled with energy, and the images swirling in her mind seemed to pulse with life, awaiting her command. "Speak," the keeper commanded, though his voice was now distant, muffled as if emerging from far away. It felt even more oppressive than the shadows had, tugging at her with a greedy intensity. "Release their stories." Emily felt a flicker of warmth within her, an involuntary response to the light. But with it came a wave of unease. What had come for her? Was it salvation, or simply another layer of torment wrapped in false hope? She took a step forward, almost against her will, drawn toward the radiant promise. In seconds, the halo of light seemed to pull back like a curtain, revealing a room drenched in white. Bright and sterile, it held the stench of antiseptic mixed with something rotten. The room was a morgue. Cold slabs lined the walls, the kind where body bags yawned open like fists ready to be filled. Each table bore a form shrouded beneath crisp linens, pale and waxy in the overhead lights. Emily's breath caught as she recognized the faces beneath the sheets, victims of tragedies long forgotten, each one tethered to the memories she had just glimpsed. A murmured chorus rose. Fragmented voices of the deceased danced around her, whispering fractured lines of despair. "Help us, remember us, tell our truth." The voices spun faster, more insistent. Panic shot through her again. The keeper had fed her the horrors, and now they pulled at her. "Focus." She inhaled deeply and turned slowly in the room, seeking the source of the light. Her eyes locked on a figure in the corner. A woman in a lab coat, hair wild and frizzy, stood looking down, frozen in a moment of grim concentration. "Dr. Smith?" Emily gasped, recognition hitting her like ice water. This was the forensic doctor some whispered about, the one who delved too deeply into the past, seeking truth from beyond the grave. What had she uncovered? The doctor lifted her head slowly, eyes hollow and rimmed with dark circles. "You've come to hear their stories," she stated, heavy weariness draping her words. "You have a gift for seeing them. But be warned, child, the truth is a double-edged sword." Emily's heart raced as she clenched her fists. "I need to know. What happened to them? What do they want?" Dr. Smith stepped toward her, urgency filling the space. "They crave acknowledgement, Emily. Your voice is their lifeline. But do you understand what could happen if you unleash their truths?" She hesitated, her breath hitching at the weight of the question. The shadows crept closer, clawing at her resolve. "If I don't, they remain trapped. But at what cost?" Just then, a piercing shriek echoed from a body bag, an otherworldly cry that shattered the sterile calm. The sound clawed at her heart, twisting her stomach in knots. "Help me!" a voice cried, muffled yet unmistakable, rising from the depths. Emily spun toward the sound. "What do I do?" But the keeper had no answer. Within the clamoring voices and that ominous cry, she felt the air around her thicken. Time slipped, distorting her senses. If she chose not to act, the wretched souls would be lost forever. Yet yielding to their torment could pull her into the maw of madness. Emily's choice loomed, the urgency gnawed at her, choking her resolve. She closed her eyes against the chaos. Should she dare to unveil their anguish, or would that decision render her a mere puppet of darkness? In the pregnant silence, shadows twisted and writhed, waiting like predators in the night. Would she break the seal containing years of misery, unleashing a reckoning she could never foresee? With trembling hands, she opened her mouth, ready to summon a story from the depths. But what she didn't know was that someone else was listening too. The scream pierced through her, more chilling than the cold touch of death. Emily recoiled, heart racing, the urgent plea echoing in her skull. Help me. It wasn't just a voice anymore. It was a plea that clawed at the corners of her mind, reverberating through the very marrow of her bones. Dr. Smith stepped back, her face paling further in the gaudy fluorescent light. You must decide, Emily, she urged, eyes darting around as if the shadows were coming alive. They won't stop until they are heard. The room pulsed with the weight of their anguish. Each body bag seemed to throb, writhing as if the souls contained within were playing a macabre symphony. Her breath came fast, a tightening knot in her chest accompanying the rising tide of despair. What do you want from me? She whispered, tears prickling at her eyelids. Truth, the chorus cried, voices blending into a cacophony that spiraled out of control. Acknowledge us. Acknowledge what was done. Terror clawed at her throat, the stories they carried like 1,000 weights pressing down on her. She wished for silence instead of this visceral storm threatening to overwhelm her senses. In that moment, all she saw was the doctor, shadows dancing hungrily at her feet. Emily, you have to contain it, Dr. Smith shouted, a frantic plea scratching her voice. She glanced at the doors, wide and temps away from the horror. But they were locked tight, the exit sealed as surely as the mortal remains on the slabs around them. Tell us, a voice cried, piercing through the mortal silence again. We want justice. Emily blinked rapidly. Justice? What could she offer these lost souls? The weight of their forgotten lives crashed down on her, and she staggered back against the cold metal slab, nearly losing her balance. Think about it, the doctor hissed, the urgency sharp in her gaze. Once you speak, once you free them, you will unleash chaos. It won't just end with them, it will spiral, and you may never return to normalcy. What had she gotten herself into? She was just a girl. Fears of a restless present were petty compared to being the voice of a harrowed past. But looking at the desperate faces hidden under linen, another truth clawed its way to the surface. If she chose silence, was she condemning these souls to eternal suffering? Whose story? She murmured, eyes searching Dr. Smith's for guidance. The doctor winced, a flicker of pain crossing her features as if recalling something ancient and raw. A voice broke through the thick fog of dread. Mine. The body bag on the farthest table shuddered violently, as if a hand pressed against the inside, desperate to break free. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Who was it? Why did they want her voice? Tell me. She hesitated only a moment longer, then stepped forward. The moment her lips parted to utter the words, the lights flickered violently. Shadows elongated and twisted, forming grotesque silhouettes that danced along the walls. The cries intensified, turning into a fevered symphony of regrets demanding release. It's too late, Dr. Smith shouted, panic sharp in her voice. Emily's eyes widened as her words began to spill like a broken dam, flooding the room with a dark but intoxicating energy. I hear you. I'll tell your story, she gasped, but the liberation felt like a curse too, and a flash. Every face under the sheets turned to her, mouths gaping, eyes rolling back in euphoria. Then silence, a heavy, suffocating silence. Anxiety crackled through the air like static electricity. The weight of hundreds of stories lay before her, each one a horror unfurling in her mind. But as she stepped deeper into this abyss, a chilling truth clutched at her. If this moment was to birth reckoning for the lost, it could just as easily lay her soul bare to the relentless dangers of the darkness. Stay silent, or usher forth doom. As the shadows surged closer, cold fingers clamping tighter around her throat, she felt the pull and fire of both worlds. Who was listening now? But just then, another cry rang out, more desperate than before. Help me. Stop her. And something deep within, the darkness grinned. Emily's heart thundered as the plea echoed in the oppressive quiet. each beat resonating with the urgency of their need. The shadows writhed closer, vibrating with anticipation, drawn to the courage ignited deep inside her. She felt a warmth blossoming in her chest, an unstoppable force pushing her forward, compelling her to confront the very abyss that terrified her. "Stay strong, Emily," Dr. Smith called, her voice strained but resolute. "You have to hold onto your light." "Light?" Emily echoed, the irony of the word clashing with the sinister dark swarming around her like a tempest. There's no light in a place like this. Yet somehow she had ignited a spark within herself. The overwhelming fear coursing through her veins finally crystallized into purpose, as those cries faded from a distant whimper into a pleading chorus demanding justice. Every whimper, every anguished sound begged her to release the secrets cloistered within these specters. "Tell us." The voices roared again, and with that, she took a deep breath, steadied herself, and let the truth spill from her lips. "In life you were shunned, you were betrayed, you suffered, and I will honor your pain." Each phrase crackled in the air, igniting the stagnant energy, which began swirling in echoes of anguish. The shadows twisted, their forms undulating as if trying to absorb her words. They pulsed around her, their dark hunger turning into a chorus of voices almost harmonious beneath Emily's resolute declaration. "Let me hear you. Let me share your struggle. I will weave your stories into the light." As each soul resonated with her truth, brief flashes of their lives played before her. At once horrid and beautiful, filled with laughter, hope, betrayal, love, and loss. The faces emerged, clearer among the shadows, urging her onward like a wave breaking through a shoreline. "Tell them how I died alone," cried the ghost of a child, forgotten in a forgotten accident. "Let them know," boomed a man's voice, raw and yearning, as if laced with the intensity of his guilt. They surged closer, wrapping around her, pleading. Emily closed her eyes and focused, letting the weight of their stories press against her chest. "You lived," she cried, defiant, the words bursting free. "Your joys were real. Your pains mattered. You loved. You lost, and it was all so very real." With that, the room swelled, shadows collapsing into themselves before exploding outward. Her voice echoed into the void, ripping through the veil that bound them, the darkness recoiling as if stung. A brilliant light erupted within the fray. It illuminated the space, washing over the figures, breathing life into the gloom that once held them captive. Emily felt the shift within the ether. These were not mere whispers anymore. They were threads entwining through her soul, reforming and finding a new hope. "Emily," Dr. Smith's voice broke through. "Stay steady. Do not let the shadows overtake you. My heart is full of their truth." Emily shouted, her voice ringing with more conviction than she knew she possessed. The keeper's figure twisted in shock, his malevolent grin faltering. "No, what are you doing?" "I am setting them free," Emily declared, feeling the pulsing warmth rise within her, as renewed energy coursed through like wildfire through dry brush. "This is where their suffering ends." The shadows recoiled, their malevolence retreating as the once-trapped souls surged forward. Enveloping Emily in a blinding embrace, a wave of warmth washed through her body, as each spirit began to dissolve into motes of light, carrying with them the weight of their narratives. "I am beloved," the child's voice declared as he floated away, echoes of laughter merging with the whispers of the wind. "I am heard," the woman in the wedding dress exclaimed, her form dissolving into glimmers of light as peace settled upon her hollow eyes. Emily raised her arms, allowing the flood of revelation to pour from her, a torrent of empathy streaming through her lips. Each voice was lifted into the realm beyond pain, a chorus breaking the chains of sorrow, echoing into eternity. As the last of them whisked away, the room crackled with energy, the shadows at last collapsing into nothingness, pulled away like mist on a sunny morning. Dr. Smith stepped forward, eyes wide with astonishment. "You did it. You set them free." Breathless with exhaustion yet high with relief, Emily looked around the reclaimed morgue, sunlight breaking through the cracks as the shadows dissipated. "I didn't just free them," she breathed heavily. "I let their truth be known. I feel alive. But then a shiver ran down her spine. Was the keeper truly gone? Suddenly, she sensed a presence behind her. That familiar dread wrapping her heart, but this time, it felt different. Did you think you could just twist the stories and erase me? He hissed. The room grew dark once more, but Emily steadied herself with a newfound resilience. She was no longer alone. I am the keeper of their truths now, she shot back, her voice strong. And you will never hold power over me again. The silence echoed as their eyes met, a battle waged in the depths of their gaze. She had not erased her fears, but she had transformed them into her strength. And with that truth, she embraced the light that flooded the room. Her journey was just beginning, but she was ready. This was her moment, a testament echoed throughout her soul. Come what may, she whispered, I'll protect these stories. It was time for both Emily and the shadows to find hope anew. And at last, she felt the weight of possibility resting on her shoulders. Determined not to buckle beneath ITS, the keeper of their truths, she stepped boldly into the world above. Now, if you enjoyed this conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. It makes a huge difference. Flood the comments section with your reactions and share your theories about the ending. Your thoughts matter, and we'd love to hear them. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion.